Sahil Bloom went from 500 to 1,500 followers on his Twitter with his first post, which sounds a little bit bonkers, but the way he managed to do that was he created a thread on a topic that a big account was talking about, and he left that thread as a comment under that big account, under one of their tweets, and the big account really found that thread useful, found it whatever engaging, and they decided to retweet it, share it with their audience, and hence Sahil Bloom managed to get that big bump in his followers from the very get-go. So the idea here is that you want to hijack big account audiences, and there are a couple different ways how you can do this, and I see a lot of people making a bunch of mistakes when it comes to this. So first, little pro tip for all of you out there is what you want to do is you find big accounts within your niche. It doesn't matter what kind of platform it is, whether it's Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn, whatever it is. You find the big accounts and you figure out when exactly are they posting. So I actually have, my VA creates these timetables of the big accounts within all of the different niches where I create content, and we have exact timing when they post. And what you can do, honestly, you can either work it backwards so you can see when was the sort of the last post, how many hours ago, and just figure out from there. Or you can also straight up honestly just message people, because if someone comes and comments under your account, I mean, that's usually very much appreciated. I appreciate that content. If you'll come and comment under my social media accounts, I'm going to reply to you, I'm going to like, and all of that kind of stuff. So most of the people, they are going to like it if you just message them and you can ask, hey, what are your posting times? What's your posting schedule? I just want to come in and I want to engage with your content. You can be straight up like that, and people are going to tell you when their posting schedule is. And this is honestly super, super important. I have tested this out painfully and have seen how much of a difference it makes if you manage to be one of those first posts, first comments, compared to if you comment a little bit later. There's a massive, massive difference, because it's sort of that compounding effect where if you are one of the first people to comment and you have some likes on your comment or retweets or whatever it is, then that comment is going to go up and it's going to be seen by more people, and it's going to compound. Compared to if you comment a couple hours later, it's going to be way, way, way higher for people to actually see your comment. So it's very important, first of all, that you create that timetable. Now, another thing that I see a lot of people make a mistake with is they simply comment something like, oh, amazing comment, amazing content, stuff like that. And it's not bad, because from time to time you can actually leave those kind of comments, because they don't require much time to do, and they can somewhat build a relationship, because perhaps that big figure is going to start recognizing your face, and perhaps even like people within the comments are going to start recognizing your name. And one little tip here as well is what I like to do is, if I'm posting those type of comments, I want to have something within my name that is almost like a CTA. So for example, within, let's say, LinkedIn, I have a page that is all about AI tools. So basically when I leave a comment, you can see that, oh, this is about AI tools. And within LinkedIn right now, depending on when you're listening to this, there is a second sort of line where you can put a different call to action, and in that line I actually have a call to action to my freebie. So even though if I leave the super generic comment, I'm also sort of leaving a call to action as well. The only thing here is that post is not going to get upvoted, so not as many people are going to see it, but still that can benefit me somewhat. But ideally, what you want to do when you try to leverage these big account audiences, you want to leave something that's actually of value. Something that if someone reads your comment, they are going to be basically, wow, they are going to want to go check out your profile because they will see that you can provide value to them. And ideally as well, what I would say is you can do it where you are targeting basically just the audience, so just the people that are going to read the comments. Or what you can do as well, this is another little pro tip, is you can tailor your comment in a way that basically agrees with the person that posted that content, or sort of like praises that person. So what this does is, and to give you an example, let's say I posted a comment about this marketing hack, whatever, and you come in and you tell in the comments, you comment that basically you maybe put in some sort of like agreement that you totally agree with what I'm saying, and you tell me like, wow, this is such a smart marketing strategy, and then maybe you give your 2 cents as well, so you give some sort of unique value on that strategy, or you add some additional strategy that goes together or something like that. So because you do that, this becomes, your comment now becomes sort of like a social proof, and it's also sort of like an ego booster. So me, if I see that comment, I am a lot more likely to, let's say if we're on Instagram, I'm a lot more likely to pin your comment so more people see it. If I'm on Twitter, I'm a lot more likely to retweet your comment because this is social proof. This is basically just showcasing that how good my expertise are. By the way, this is a podcast episode, so I have made a video about this. So if you want to see it visually, I will leave the links. Go check it out. And if you're finding it useful so far, if you're listening to this as a podcast, make sure to leave a review. I would very much appreciate it. Or if you are on YouTube, or actually you should go on YouTube and you should find this video, make sure to smash that thumbs up button. Now, the next amazing traffic method is getting to interview people, and there are a couple of different ways as well how you can do this as efficient as possible. And I don't even know if I need to talk about all of the different benefits. I will say that when you interview people, sometimes I see a lot of people just sort of interviewing anyone within their niche, and honestly, there are sort of 2 ways you can do this, because obviously there are a lot of people maybe within a niche, your niche, that have great expertise, that have great stories, that have great tips, whatever it is, and you know perhaps with that person you can produce really high quality content, and that is amazing. However, usually, ideally, you want to target someone, or you want to interview someone that has their own audience already, that is a well-known name, because even though, yes, you can get from someone that doesn't have any audience, you can get great content, it really helps if you can leverage someone's name and someone's audience. So ideally, when you first look for people to interview, you want to find people that have sort of the highest audience or the most search. And when you do that, by the way, you want to make sure that you optimize for SEO. And what I mean by that is you want to make sure that you put their name and you maybe put other keywords that a lot of people might search together. So for example, let's say you are looking up my name and you might put in marketing tips or something like that. So now that might appear within the search. And honestly, this is how I've discovered a bunch of different podcasts and whatnot, because when I find someone I really like, I just search for their name, and I often search, okay, their name plus this keyword or this keyword, the different topics that I want to learn about, and sometimes different interviews of them come up. Honestly, when it comes to interviewing someone, I think there are so many different tips, so many different things I could talk about. Let me know if you want me to make a separate episode on just that. But I will say just a couple of most important things. So when you are trying to get people, first of all, send a bunch of different emails. Don't just send one email, that's it. Send follow-up emails. Also, when you have guests, always ask for referrals for other interesting guests. Also, when you are, because you basically need to sell someone that they come and they spend their time getting interviewed by you. So you want to really show them value. So you can show value by, okay, what is your audience? How much exposure, additional exposure they're going to get. You can also use social proof. That works really well. So you basically can just mention that this and this and this person was on your podcast already. So I would say this is what vast majority of the people do when they try to get an interview from someone. What I like to do is I like to get some additional stuff. So what I mean by that is I try to basically show them how I'm going to use that interview in multiple different ways that are going to benefit them. So what I mean by that is, let's say, usually if I'm going to interview someone, I am going to get them on a podcast, on a call, and you can do multiple different things with that podcast. So I can maybe cut that into different clips. Maybe I'm going to use that within my different videos. So I might have podcast episode. I might take different clips and combine them with my other clips and put that in my different videos. So they're going to get exposure. Let's say if I have very few views on my podcast, they might get a lot more exposure because I'm going to put them in my different YouTube videos. Perhaps I'll take and produce social media clips that I can post on Instagram, TikTok, all that kind of stuff. And I can maybe tell them that, hey, you are going to be able to use these clips as well. Like, imagine how much value that is if I tell someone, hey, come talk with me for 1 hour. And after that, I'm going to send you 10, 20 social media clips that you can use on your social media. I mean, that's absolutely amazing. Even if you have no audience, you can probably get some really big people to come and do that because you're doing a bunch of work for them, but actually you're doing a bunch of work for yourself. By the way, if you're finding this useful, I have a bunch of freebies on my website, so check out, I'll leave all of the different links. And also I have a bunch of very quick and actionable growth hacks, different online business ideas, and all of that kind of stuff on my website and on my social media. So make sure to check out my Instagram, my Twitter, all of that kind of stuff, all the links down below. Another thing here as well, what you can do is perhaps you can take that transcript from the podcast and you can create content. You can create maybe a blog post. Perhaps you can take certain parts and you can create different tweets, so on and so forth. So you can basically repurpose that content in billion different ways. And by the way, if you need content repurposing, check out, I'll leave some links for my agency, but just find different ways how basically you can provide value for that person to get them give you an interview. And another little tip here is, if you don't want to go on podcasts or you don't have the time to do that, what you can do as well is you can just have interview questions and you can just ask the person to answer those questions and send them over to you, and you just need to publish them. So that's a lot easier way that doesn't really require your time, and you might need to edit them, but at the same time you can just get someone to edit that for you so it looks all nice and you can get a bunch of different interviews. And one more thing, I feel like I keep on saying one more thing and one more thing. I feel like I could talk about this for hours and hours on end. I don't want to make this too long though. Do let me know if you want me to make this longer and you want me to give you more additional tips, go in depth. But another thing what's very, very important is that once you are done with the interview, don't just leave it like that. You want to follow up with the person and you want to tell them, oh, hey, the podcast episode is live. Oh, hey, I posted these clips just now. Oh, hey, I posted this tweet just now. And you want to also make it as easy as possible for them to share. So it kind of depends what's your dynamic. Sometimes you might just ask straight up, hey, I just posted this, would really appreciate it if you share it with your audience. Honestly, I don't mind it. I feel like you should be straight up because people kind of know that obviously you would like them to do that. But you can also just not say it, and you can just be like, hey, I just shared this. Here, this is the link. And you want to give them the links. Make it as easy as possible. Don't just tell them, oh, I just posted the podcast episode, or I just posted the tweet, and then they need to go and find your tweet. People are not going to do that. But if you give them exactly the link and it's just 2 clicks, they are very likely to do that. So I hope you found this useful. As I mentioned, this is a podcast episode of a YouTube video. So if you want to see a visual version of this, then I will leave the links. Also, as I mentioned, I have a bunch of very useful freebies. So go get the freebies. Make sure to also check out my social media, my Instagram, Twitter. I have a bunch of really actionable, really concise tips on there, as well as my newsletter. And if you found this useful, if you're listening to this as a podcast, I would really appreciate if you leave a review, or even better, I will leave a link. Go to YouTube, and if you are on YouTube already, smash the thumbs up button, subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you soon.